Did you know that WordPress powers 44% of all websites on the internet? That's more than 475 million websites. WordPress has become the #1 most popular platform to build websites, and many popular websites use WordPress like thewhitehouse.gov, Disney, Taylor Swift, and even NASA. But if you're brand new to WordPress, it might be confusing for first-time users, but that's where I come in. My name is Daryl Wilson, and I've been building websites with WordPress for more than 10 years. And today in this video, I'll walk you through how to build a WordPress website step by step from start to finish. In this WordPress tutorial, you will have access to hundreds of professionally designed templates that me and my team have personally designed. And not to brag, but they look really good. You simply select the template that you would like to import, and there's hundreds to choose from. You can then adjust the color palette for each template, change the fonts, and then click on import, and your entire WordPress website will be ready in a few seconds. It's the easiest thing you'll ever build. Also, have you heard about Elementor? If you haven't, you've probably been living under a rock. Elementor has become the #1 most popular page builder for WordPress. Elementor's drag and drop functionality makes it incredibly easy for even beginners to create professional looking websites. It's simple. You simply pick a widget and drop the widget to build your page exactly how you want. It's as simple as dragging and dropping elements around the screen. And the best part, it's completely free to use. So in this video, I'm gonna walk you through how to build a WordPress website using Elementor. Now we're gonna build your website in 4 simple steps. In step 1, we'll get a domain and web hosting. A domain is the name of your WordPress websites, like darylsbusiness.com, and web hosting will host your website online 24 hours a day. In step 2, we'll import a starter template. You will have access to more than 100 free templates in various niches. I'll walk you through how to import a starter template on your new WordPress websites. In step 3, we'll design the website using a page builder. I'll walk you through how to design the website using the Elementor page builder. I'll go through the options and explain in detail how to build your websites. Step 4, the theme customizer. Every theme for WordPress has a theme customizer. I'll show you how to use the theme customizer to adjust various parts of your new WordPress website. I will also be answering many questions users have for the first time, like what is a WordPress theme? What is a WordPress plugin? And how do I add a contact form on my websites? So I'll be answering all these questions in this WordPress tutorial. With that said, let's go ahead and go to step 1. Now there is a link in the video description. It'll take you to step 1, and that's to get your new domain and web hosting. Okay, now this is Hostinger.com. Now Hostinger.com is among the fastest and also the most reliable web hosting in the industry. They are also officially recommended by WordPress as well. Now before we begin, if you speak other various languages, here at the top under this little American flag banner, we'll click on English, and here you can switch to your native language. So if you speak Japanese or German or French or Thai, you can select your native language and the entire website will be translated to your native language. So here I'll close this. Now here I'll click on Claim Deal. Now here we have a few different plans. We have the Premium, the Business, and the Cloud Startup. Now I personally recommend to go with the Business plan. With the Business plan, you actually get more resources, more storage, and you can host more websites. And with the Basic plan, you only get SSD storage versus NVMe storage. If you're not sure what that means, just know that NVMe storage is 4 times faster than SSD. So as a result, your website will be a lot faster if you decide to go on the Business plan. And don't worry, you get a free domain, a big discount, and a 30-day money-back guarantee for any reason whatsoever. So once you decide on a plan, you'll then click on Choose Plan. Okay, now the next option you'll select is the period. So right here, if you click on this arrow, you'll see we have 48 months, 24 months, 12 months, and 1 month. I definitely recommend going with 12 months or more. This will actually apply the largest discount available, and you'll still get a free domain if you select more than 12 months. So go ahead and select the period, and on the right side, you'll see that we have this option for a coupon code. And don't worry, I got your back. If we scroll down right here and enter the coupon code Daryl10, we will save an additional 10% on top of the discount already available. So right here, I'll click on Apply. And there we go. So now we have 81% total in discounts, and you'll only pay $43 for the entire year, and that's all you're gonna pay. So once you enter in that coupon code, you'll then click on Continue. Now the next step is you'll register for a Hostinger account. So right here, you'll enter in an email address and also a password. Once you enter in your email and your password, you'll then click on Register. So next we're brought to our checkout page, and here we need to input our information for our billing address. So I'll go ahead and fill out my information. Okay, once you enter your billing address, you'll then click on Continue. Next, you're brought to your payment method. So here you can pay with credit card, you can pay with MasterCard or Visa, American Express, or for those of you who have Discover, you can use a Discover card. Also, you can pay with PayPal, Google Pay, Apple Pay, and Alipay. So I'll go ahead and put in my credit card information. Okay, so once we fill out our credit card information, we'll then click on Submit Payment. All right, so after the payment page, it'll actually redirect us to the next page. Okay, so now we're gonna walk through the Hostinger wizard. So who is this website for? Well, it's for me or my business. I'll click on Next. Do you want to create or migrate a website? I want to click on Create a Website and click on Next. So next you'll create your login credentials, and this is what you're gonna use to log into WordPress. So make sure you write this down. You'll put in your email address and then also put in a password for WordPress, and then you'll click on Next. Next, they're asking us what kind of website we wanna build. We can actually click on Create a Blank Site and skip this section. So click on Create a Blank Site. So next you'll enter in the domain for your new website, and you get a free domain using our coupon code. So this is the domain name that people enter in the address bar when they're browsing the internet. So for example, I'll put darylstutorial.com. After we type that in, you'll see this is our free domain and it's currently available. So you'll go ahead and select your domain here, and then you'll click on Next. So next we're going to register your domain, and this is important because you're claiming ownership of this domain. So is this personal or is this a company? I'll select personal. You'll then select the country of where you registered this domain. So I'll put United States, and then I'll click on Next Step. And next you'll enter in your contact details. This is important because this lets people know who actually owns this domain. So if you ever want to sell your domain later or something, they're always going to look at your contact details. So go ahead and put in your first name, your last name, and your contact information. And once you're done, you'll then click on Finish Registration. So next you'll go ahead and select a server closest to your target audience. So if you're in the Americas, you'll go ahead and select United States. If you're in Europe, you'll select Germany, or if you're in South America, you'll select Brazil. This really isn't that important because you do get free CDNs with Hostinger, and that makes copies of your website and puts it on servers all around the world. So your website will still be fast regardless of your location. But in my instance, I'll go ahead and pick Arizona right here, and then I'll click on Next. So now Hostinger is going to install WordPress on our new domain. So just give this maybe like 1 or 2 minutes. And congratulations, this is now your new WordPress website. So this is Hostinger's welcome wizard where they're just saying, hey, get started with your website, and they offer some tutorials and all that cool stuff. Now, before going any further, I first want you all to check your email. So going over here to my Gmail, you're going to receive very important emails from Hostinger. The first thing that you're gonna do is verify your email address. This will make sure that you're a real person, and this will actually verify your email with Hostinger. So I'll go ahead and click on Verify Email. Okay, and this is the Hostinger dashboard, and this is where you can access the websites, you can make free business emails, and a whole lot more. We'll talk more about the Hostinger dashboard a little bit later, but let's go ahead and go back to the email. There is one more email that we also need to click on, and that's from Hostinger as well. Here, click on Inbox. You're going to want to verify your domain right here. So verify your email address to use your domain. I'll click on this, and then we'll click on Verify Email. So after you click on that link, our domain information has now been verified by Hostinger.com. So let's jump back to our WordPress dashboard. So here you'll see at the top, we have this preview domain. Now, in order to access your website and get out of preview mode, all you gotta do is type in your domain name. So type in darylstutorial.com. And this is now your new domain where you see it's live on the internet. Now, if you ever want to log into your WordPress website, there's 2 ways to do this. You can either do this through the Hostinger dashboard. I actually do this quite often because I get very lazy and I forget passwords really easily. All you'll do is go over here to the website tab, and then you'll see your domain, and you can just click on WordPress admin, and this will log you directly into your website. And just like that, we are now logged into WordPress, and you'll see that we are now using our live domain on the internet. And if I click on visit site right here, you'll go ahead and see a copy of our websites. So next, let me show you all how to log into WordPress using your browser. So here you'll enter in your domain name, and then you'll enter -wp-admin, and this will bring you to the WordPress login screen. So I'll press enter. This is where you're going to enter in your credentials. You'll enter in your email and your password. So just remember, these are the credentials that you created when you installed WordPress. So I'll go ahead and click on Remember Me. and then I'll click on login. So that's how you can log in and log out of WordPress so you can work on your website from any location. All right, congratulations on getting your new domain and hosting. Pretty simple, right? Hostinger makes things like idiot proof, right? Now in this next section, we're gonna explore some of the WordPress general settings, and then we're going to install a WordPress theme. We're then going to import a starter template onto your new domain, and by the end of this section, you're gonna have a really nice looking WordPress website. So with that said, let's go ahead and jump back to the video. So next, let's go ahead and talk about the WordPress dashboard. So here you'll go ahead and see a list of your pages. So if I click on all pages right here, you'll see a list of all of your pages. These are just demo pages, so you can just go ahead and delete these pages if you don't want them. Also for posts, the same thing for posts. These are a list of all of your blog posts, and you always get this cool one called Hello World, which is just an introduction to the blog, but we can go ahead and also trash this. So I'll click on trash. And that's how you can delete pages from your websites. So let's go ahead now and jump into the important WordPress options. So let's go ahead and go over here to users and click on profile. So the first thing you can do is you can go ahead and change the backend color scheme of your websites. So if you like blue or coffee or midnights, you can go ahead and select one of these colors. I do like midnights. I feel like this is easier on the eye, right? If you scroll down, you'll see this is where you can change your email. So if you ever forget your password for WordPress, it'll always be sent to this email. So make sure you have access to it. We'll go ahead and scroll down. Now, if you ever want to change your password for WordPress, you'll go ahead and click on set new password. And then you'll enter in a new password for WordPress right here. Once you're done with those options, we'll then click on update profile. Next, let's go ahead and go over here to settings and let's click on general. Now, the first thing is you can give your website a name. So I'm going to put Daryl's Store, right? And then you have a tagline. This is kind of like the tagline of your website. You know how Nike has just do it, right? You can put a tagline if you want, or you can leave it blank. You can also upload a site icon, and this appears at the top of browsers when people visit your websites. And scrolling down, you can always adjust your email address again right here. Now, for those of you who speak various languages, you can actually change the backend of WordPress to your native language. So if you speak Chinese or Russian or Dutch or Spanish, you can go ahead and select the language right here, and the entire backend will change to your native language. Once you're done with those options, we'll then scroll to the bottom and then click on Save Changes. Okay, now there's two more options that I do want to check. Let's go ahead and click on the Discussion tab right here. Now, WordPress started off as a blog, so people typically are going to leave comments on your websites, but that's really annoying. So right here, I'll click on Allow people to submit comments. This typically will allow people to spam your website with like Viagra pills and all sorts of crazy stuff. So make sure you uncheck that box, scroll to the bottom, and then click on Save Changes. And the very last option before we design our website is permalinks. So right here, I'll click on permalinks. Now you always want to change the permalink structure to post name. This is optimal for SEO and it's a lot cleaner. You'll see these other links right here are really messy with the date and all this unnecessary information. Post name is actually optimal for SEO and is the best setting for your permalink structure. So go ahead and select post name, scroll to the bottom and click on Save Changes. Okay, now let's go ahead and click on our dashboard. All right, so now let me talk about quickly what are WordPress themes and plugins. First, let's go over here to plugins and click on add new plugin. So let me explain what is a WordPress plugin. Next, what is a WordPress plugin? WordPress is the #1 CMS in the world, mainly due to the plugin market. There are more than 50,000 plugins available for you to use in the WordPress ecosystem. A WordPress plugin adds extra functionality to your WordPress websites. For example, if you want to integrate a contact form, you can install a plugin to generate a contact form. There's also plugins for integrating e-commerce functionality and also SEO plugins for optimizing your website for the Google search results. Think of a WordPress plugin like apps for your smartphone. Any type of functionality you want to add, you can simply download it to your WordPress website. All the plugins are free with WordPress and offer a pro version available on the developers' websites. Feel free to explore plugins to see what kind of functionality you want to add for your WordPress website. So for example, over here in the search plugins, if you type in SEO, you'll get a list of plugins that can help optimize your website for the Google search results. We have Yoast, Rank Math, and All-in-One SEO. These are some of the most popular SEO plugins for WordPress. Also, if we type in something like contact, you'll also get a list of available contact forms you can embed on your website, such as Contact Form 7, WP Forms, and also Forminator. So feel free on your own time to explore the WordPress ecosystem to find a plugin that best suits your websites. Now let's talk about what is a WordPress theme. So first, let's go over here to Appearance and click on Themes. At the top, I'll click on Add New Theme. So here's a list of available WordPress themes. So let me explain what a WordPress theme is and what does it do for your website. What is a WordPress theme? Every website with WordPress requires a WordPress theme. Think of a WordPress theme like a shell of your websites. It's what makes your website look unique and gives it a specific style. A WordPress theme controls various parts of your website like the header, the footer, the blog page, and the shop page of your websites. A WordPress theme does not create the content of your actual website, but is more of an outside shell for the page builders to add all the content within your websites. Each of these WordPress themes are free to use and offer a limited amount of features, but are still generous for what they offer. Each WordPress theme has a pro version which you can upgrade through their websites, and the pricing varies between themes. Feel free to explore themes and see which one works best for your websites. You got that? So many WordPress themes offer various templates, and they also design various parts of your website like the header and the footer and other various parts. Now under search themes, we're going to type in Solace, S-O-L-A-C-E. And here is a WordPress theme that we're going to use for this video. This theme is actually a brand new theme, and it comes with tons of beautifully designed template kits you can install on your websites. So once you see this theme, you'll then click on Install, and then you'll click on Activate. Next, you'll see this Install Starter Templates. Let's go ahead and click on Install Starter Templates. This will give you access to all the features plus the template library. All right, and this is the Solace theme dashboard. This is where you can access the demos and also customize your website using the theme customizer. Here under starter templates, let's go ahead and click on Start Now. And this is me. I'm just saying, hey, hello, how are you? And this is a tutorial for Elementor, but you can just go ahead and click on Start Now. On the next page, here's a list of available starter templates that you can insert on your WordPress websites. Now, Solace actually has more than 110 layouts that you can insert on your website. And the kits are beautifully designed. They're modernized. They look great. And if you want to filter by category on the left side, for example, I'll click on Business. And then we have a list of available multi-purpose starter templates that you can insert on your websites. Now for this video, I want you all to select this one right here. It is called FlexiWeb. It's actually one of our most recommended templates that a lot of people like because it comes with a really nice structure and it's really easy to work with. So on the FlexiWeb Web Design Solace templates, go ahead and click on FlexiWeb. On the next page, here you can actually get a preview of the website. You can actually navigate the websites, and you can also adjust the color palette and also the font style. So if we scroll down, this is a general preview of the actual websites. And on the left side, let's say you want to adjust the color palettes. Here we can actually switch between different color palettes, and the entire website will adjust to the specific color palette that you choose. Pretty cool, right? Now on the left side, we can also adjust the font. So if you want to adjust the font to a different style, you can actually adjust a few different font styles. Now right here, once you actually select a color palette and font style, you'll go ahead and click on Continue. On this next section, you can actually choose to sign up to our newsletter. You might get occasional discounts, so you can actually put in your first name and your email and then click on Submit and Build My Websites. If you don't want to submit any information, you can always just click on No Thanks, I'll sign up later. Now once you select that option, Solace is going to import that starter template onto your new domain. So just give this like 1 to 2 minutes. Okay, so once the import is complete, you can now check the website. So right here, let's click on Check Website. All right, so now we have a beautiful kit imported on our website. So you'll see right here, we have this text, we have this image, and of course you can adjust this text and swap your images for your own. Scrolling down here, we have some partners that we work with. And then here we have this guy, he's having a good time. He has his coffee. And then on the right side, we have some more upsells talking about our services that we offer. Scrolling down, we have some widgets and some elements that you can insert about your company. So here we have e-commerce, real estate, technology, and so on and so forth. And then below that, we have like maybe the CEO or like someone important. And here are like positive reviews about this person. And of course, you can swap this with your own and people can be giving you positive reviews, right? Scrolling down, we have our frequently asked questions. So if people have any questions about your website, you can go ahead and insert them right here. And then we have a really nice call to action section. And then we have a beautiful footer here at the bottom. Now, if for whatever reason the import process failed, feel free to just go ahead and try it again. Maybe on the first try it might have failed, but on the second time it should work just fine. Now, we also do have other pages. So here we have like the About Us page, which is a page about our company. And then here we have this guy, he's hard at work. And then here are like the features that we offer for our company. Scrolling down, we have this gentleman with like a get to know us kind of thing. And if we click on this, it'll actually prompt a YouTube video. So you can actually incorporate a YouTube video here if you want to talk more about your company or your services. And then we have that guy again here from the front page where we just have more upsells and services that we offer. And then scrolling down here, we have some portfolios that you can incorporate. So if you want to add like portfolios, or if you want to talk about specific projects that you're working on, you can list them here. And yeah, so feel free to actually check the rest of the website. So here is the contact us page where we have this text right here. We have a contact form and then just some general information on how users can contact us. And then also we have this map where we can actually add our address here where people can actually see our physical location. So let's go ahead and go back to the home page. Okay, so now that we have that beautiful template set up, now we're going to design the website using the page builder. So what we're gonna do here is we're gonna make a brand new page and we're gonna start from scratch. So we're first gonna introduce you all to the basic features like dragging in elements and making columns, and then we'll progressively get into the more advanced topics like the flexbox and also the grid layouts. So after this section, you're gonna know how to fully customize all parts of your WordPress websites. You guys ready? You sure? All right, let's go. Okay, so now that we have a beautiful website, let me give you all a 15-minute crash course on how to use the Elementor page builder. Now let's go ahead and start on a brand new page from scratch, just so we're on the same playing field. Here at the top, you'll see plus new. Let's go ahead and click on page. And for the title, we'll just put something like demo or practice page or whatever, but we're just gonna create a page that we can, practice with. So here at the top right, you'll see publish. Go ahead and click on publish, and this will publish this page. Next, let's go ahead and turn on the page builder. So here in the back end, you'll see this edit with Elementor. Go ahead and click on edit with Elementor, and this will turn on the page builder. Okay, so this is the Elementor UI. This is where we can build a website and design the website. Now on the left side, you'll see under layouts, these are containers and grids. Essentially, these are rows where we can drag in elements. Below that, we have basic elements, and we can drag and drop these onto the page. And if we scroll down, we have Elementor Pro elements. These are only available in the Pro, so I'm going to collapse that. And then we have more general elements that we can also drag onto the page. Now let's go ahead and start from scratch here. So let's create a 2-column row. So right here, I'll click on plus, and now we have the option for flexbox and also grid. Now I'll talk more about grid a little bit later, but for now, let's just use the flexbox. So here we're gonna select the structure, right? Now these first 2 boxes, you might see they're directional arrows. We'll talk more about that a little bit later, but for now, let's just select a basic 2-column row. And now we have 2 columns. Now at the top right here, I'll click on add elements, and now we can add in elements inside of these columns. So for example, here I'll take this heading text and I'll drop it right here where that pink line appears. And then you'll see that we have this text. And we can change this text to anything. So I'll put like how to make website. Now really quick, for every element, you're gonna have 3 separate tabs. You have the content tab. This controls the actual contents of the actual element. And then we have the style. This controls things like the fonts and also the color of the element. For example, here click on this pencil icon, and now we have many styling options for like the font family, right? So here we can actually change this to like a different font. We can change it to like bold, or we can, make it italicized, and we can also adjust the size of this element here. Now, the very last column is the advanced column. This typically can change the position of the elements. It could also add space, and you can add in really cool things like motion effects. So for example, here you'll see that we can add in some, space right here around the elements. And if we scroll down, you'll see also we can add in a border. So if you want to add in like a solid border right here. So now you'll see that there's this border around this specific element, right? You can also add in cool things like motion effects. Now motion effects will just give your elements like animations. So for example, if you want to like add in a really cool animation, like rotate in down left. Actually, that looks really ugly. Don't use those ones, okay? Here we go, swing. Okay, so yeah, don't get too crazy with the entrance animations. It's a really quick way on how to make your website look really ugly, right? Now, I'm gonna delete this element, right? Now, here I'll right click, and then I'll just click on delete. And that's how you can delete an element. So let's try that again. Here, I'll drag in the heading, right? And then here, again, I'll put in how to make websites. Now, let's say you want to add in more elements. Here at the top, I'll click on add elements. And let's say, for example, you want to drag in an image, right? Here, I'll take an image and I'll drop it right here. And then I'll choose an image. Now, when you import the Solus library kits, you actually get a bunch of free images to work with. So I'll just use this, I guess this is like a drone, right? I'll use this drone. And here I'll click on select. Okay. And let's go back up here to add elements. And let's say, for example, you want to throw in like a text editor, drop it right here where that pink line is. You can adjust the text. And I'll do this one more time. Let's throw in a button here, right? Okay. Now, like I showed you all earlier on how to delete elements, you can also duplicate them. So for example, here I'll right click, and instead of deleting this, I'll click on duplicates, and I can drag and drop this onto the other column. Right? So I can right click, duplicate, drag and drop it just like that. Now you can also go ahead and explore these other elements. I've used pretty much all of them, to be honest. I mean, there's an icon box here, right? And each of them have different styling options. So here's the icon, then you can change the heading text. Here you can change the icon to something else, right? Here, I'll click on plus. And yeah, so on your own free time, feel free to knock yourself out. There are a lot of different like elements you can kind of explore and just see what they do. And again, you can adjust the content on the content tab and then style it here in the styling tab. So all of the elements carry the same options, making it really easy to customize your websites. Now we got a lot going on here. So I'm gonna right click, delete, right click, delete, delete this, and also delete this. Now, just like we duplicated elements, you can also duplicate full-on sections and entire rows. For example, here under this little flex box right here, I'll right click, and we also have those same options. So I'll duplicate this, and I'll duplicate it one more time, and I no longer need this row over here, so I'll right click on this, and I will delete it. Now, you can also adjust the width of these sections right here by clicking on these two arrows, and then you can sort of control how big you want each specific section. You can also do this manually by just going over here to the flex box and just adjusting it here. So I think they're all 33%, you know, to make them even, right? So that's another way on how you can control it. Now you can also add in background colors, and then also you can add in padding. So really quick, here I'll click on this container right here, and you'll see that gray line, and we can actually add a background color where that gray line appears. So over here under style, under background type, I'll click on classic. Here, let's just throw in a color, right? We'll just throw in like a very soft gray, right? So now we got that color, right? Pretty cool. Now you can also do this with the entire section. So these are columns, right? But this right here is controlling the entire section. So where this pink line is displayed, we can actually display a background. Now you can, you know, upload images, you can have video backgrounds, gradients. So I'll click on these 6 dots here and go to style. And then here we have background type. Now I'll click on classic, and then we can just throw in like a color, right? So here we have a color going on. Let's see what we got going on here. Yeah, color, all right. And if you want to get crazy, you know, you can also do gradients where you can have like 2 different colors, right? You can do gradients, and you can also change the angle of that gradient, right? And if you want to just use a standard image under classic, you can just upload an image here and just have an image for your background. So that's an example of how you can add in like background colors and stuff. Now, let's say, for example, you want the background to be appeared on this second column. You'll simply click on the container, go to the color, and you'll just make this transparent, right? And then you'll see it just blends really easily. But I do want to keep that gray background there. So we talked about how you can duplicate containers, and you can also duplicate entire sections. So here under these 6 dots, I'll right click, and then I'll click on duplicates. And now you're going to see that we have this whole section right here duplicated in a really really clean format where they follow the exact same pattern. So that's how you can basically duplicate entire sections. Now, at any time, if you want to add in a section in between another section, here we have this plus. And just like we did earlier, you can just go ahead and, make some columns, and then you can just drag and drop elements and then build your page as we did just earlier, right? Pretty cool, right? You guys with me? Pretty simple, right? You're probably thinking, oh, this was going to be a horrible video. No, man, this is actually really simple to work with, right? So yeah, that's how you can basically add a section in between sections. Now, let's say you want to delete a section, right? We got a lot going on right here. So you're going to see this X right here above every section. So I'll click on the delete container button, delete container, and then also I'll click on delete container. Now, let's say you did that on accident, right? You're like, oh my gosh, I made a mistake, Daryl. I didn't mean to delete that. You can always go back into the history. So I'll click on the Elementor logo, and here we have history. And this is where you guys can actually go back into the history and go back to any parts of when you're building the websites. So if you ever made a mistake or you deleted something on accident, always go back into the history tab where you can just jump right back to where you're working on. All right, now really quick, I'm gonna re-add those sections and we're gonna talk about shape dividers and also padding. Now here I'll click on these 6 dots. Now this is actually a really cool feature and most beginners love this stuff, but don't get too crazy. I'm gonna click on these 6 dots and here I'll click on style. Now if we go to the bottom right here, you're gonna see shape divider. Now shape dividers allow you to add some really cool designs right here to the top and also to the bottom. So we have a lot of different styles you can choose from. And you can actually control the width and the height of this. You can make it really small or really long right here, right? And you can do this for the top and also the bottom. So let's say, for example, you want to throw in some clouds here at the bottom and you want to adjust the heights. You can go ahead and do that. You can also invert them and flip them. I mean, there's a lot of options here where you can get really crazy with the shape dividers. I find that beginners really love shape dividers, so I just want to introduce you all to that feature. Okay, now I'm gonna go ahead and change these back right here and just take off these shape dividers. Now, the last thing that I'm gonna talk about before we jump into the flex box is padding. Now, really quick, I'm gonna duplicate this, right? Now, if you ever wanna create space in between these sections, this is where padding comes in, and padding's pretty important. So for example, I'll click on these 6 dots and go to the advanced section, and I'm gonna uncheck these values. And let's say, for example, these are a little bit too tight right here, right? So I wanna add padding to the bottom, which is essentially space. So I'm just basically making space, right? So here I'll put in 100 pixels. So that is how when you're building your websites, you can always add in more space and then just add in a new section and then keep building, right? So that's basically how you can add padding to sections on your websites. Okay, so now that we have the fundamentals of Elementor down, now let's make something practical. Let's make a landing page. Now this is a very common web design practice where you're gonna see some text, 2 buttons, and then an image on the right side. Also on our demo website, it pretty much follows the same exact formats. So let me show you all how to create a landing page from scratch using Elementor. Now let's go ahead and delete all these really ugly sections, okay? You will be missed, these ugly sections. Let's go ahead and delete this section, and delete this section. And now let's start from scratch. Now, the very first thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna take a look at this. So here we have 2 columns, right? We have 1 column and we have 2 columns. So let's make a 2-column row. Here, click on the plus flex box, and we're gonna put in a 2-column row. Okay, got that? Now, the very first thing we're gonna add is a text editor, right? And we're just gonna put a little bit of text, right? I think this just really introduces the heading, right? So I'll click on add elements, and now we're gonna add in a heading, right? So here is our heading text. And the next section is we just have some text and we have 2 buttons, right? So here, I'll put in the text editor, right? And now you might be confused, right? So now if I try to put a button here, and if I duplicate this button, you're gonna notice that they're stacked on top of each other. There's no way around this. So if I try to add another button, it's just gonna stack like this and it's gonna look really ugly. Now this is where the flex box come into play. So let's go ahead and delete this, delete these buttons, and let me educate you a little bit about the flex box. So I'm gonna take another container and we're gonna drag it right below that text. So now we have another container. I'll click on the add elements, and then we're gonna throw in 2 buttons, right? Button 1, okay. Add elements, and button 2. You guys with me? All right, good. Now I'm gonna quickly change the color just so that we can see the distinction between both buttons. So under style, color, I'll just change this to red, okay? Actually, no, black. That's really ugly. Okay, that looks a lot nicer, right? So here I'll click on the container. Now earlier when we were working on our containers, we saw those rows, right? Here are the rows that was shown us to us earlier. So this is the direction. So essentially what I'm saying here is I want these two elements to be horizontal from one another. So if I click on horizontal, now you're gonna see that these elements are side by side. And below that, we have controls on how we can control these, right? So here we have justified contents, we have start, center, end, space between, space around, or space evenly, right? Now, in this specific case, we can't align this. I'll give you another example of how we can use these controls. But for example, let's just say I want to put this at the start and I want to manually add in space. So something like this right here, right? Something where, where we can just manually add in space. And I think that looks a lot nicer. So that is how we can use the Flexbox in order to, control and manipulate elements. Now here I'll click on add elements. And now let's just go ahead and add in a basic image on the right side. Here I'll put an image. I'll choose an image. Okay, we'll put who should we put? This guy? This guy's having a good day. Let's put this guy. He's having a good day. He has his coffee. He is all ready to go, right? So now we have this image on the right side. But we need to sort of clean this up. We need to make this a little bit bigger, right? So to make any section on your website larger, here I'll click on this section over here. And under the minimum height, we can actually change this. So I'm going to change this to VH. And VH is just a way on how we can measure this. So for example, to achieve a full height container, use 100 VH. I'm going to use 90, right? So now you'll see that this stretches all the way down to here, right? And the good thing about this is that now we have a lot more space right here, as you can tell. So now we can use the Flexbox again to manipulate these elements. So here I'll click on the container. And you remember earlier how we have we use these controls. Now we can do the same thing for the justified content. So I want to put this in the center. Now you can also go a step further here and you can just add in space just like that if you want to go that route, right? Now this is actually a great feature because instead of actually adding padding to every single element, you can just do it to the entire, all the elements in the section. Now the only thing we need to do here is we need to make this bigger. So I'll click on the typography here. Under style, typography, and if you make this bigger, we pretty much have an identical landing page like the one over here on our website, right? The only difference is we'd probably have to just change some colors, right? Now the last thing is we can actually add in another container and add in these elements here on the bottom, right? Now there's a few ways on how to do this, right? But we can just use the Flexbox again, right? So let's go ahead and click on add elements, right? Container. Got that? And I believe these are called counters, right? So counters. Okay, cool number, all right. And I'll just put 4,000, right? Let's just keep this basic. Now these are way too big, right? We got to change that. So under style, remember, we can control all of the fonts and the sizes. And here under the title, the number, we'll just change this to something smaller, right? So typography, we'll just make this smaller. 20. And then the title, we'll change this a little bit smaller here to something like, I don't know, 15 good. And we'll make it bold, right? Give it some style. There we go. Now I'm going to go ahead and duplicate this and also duplicate this again. Now notice here how they're stacked on top of each other. And I think now you're sort of getting it. We can actually manipulate these with the Flexbox. So I'll click on edit container. And for the direction, I want these horizontal. Now they are way too close to each other. So we can either, add some space between like that, or we can just manually add in space like this, right? Pretty cool, right? Awesome. Look at that. Beautiful, right? Beautiful looking landing page so far. Now the last option is you guys might be wondering, how did you do this circular thingy, majiggy you got going on here, right? Let me show you how I did that. Now this is a new feature and it's an advanced feature, but I'll just show you anyways. Here, click on the image. Go to advanced, right? And if I scroll down, we have this option called mask, right? Now, if I turn on mask, you'll see that now we can basically mask the image. So here we have flower, right? Pretty cute, right? We got sketch, triangle, blob, hexagon, and then we have custom, right? Now, in our specific case, we use custom, and all I did here was we just used this one right here, this black blob, right? We selected it and voila. So that is how we achieved that kind of style. So at this point, I think you guys are getting the hang of it, and congratulations. We've now made a really nice looking landing page in a matter of minutes. Okay, and if you want to add some more styling to the background here under edit container, under style, you can always add in like a color. You know, if you want to go that route, you can throw in a color, right? Or you can put in a gradient, you know, maybe put in like a bluish, maybe like a bluish white or something. You know, I'm sure there's a way on how to, you know, how to make a really nice gradient background, but gradients are really risky. So just be really cautious with gradients. So yeah, we have a landing page like this, and I'll click on the text and we'll change this to something like, welcome to your new websites. All right, awesome. Okay, so congratulations. We've now successfully made a really nice looking landing page. Okay, so now that we create this landing page, I kind of want to save it, and maybe we can use this later, right? So I'm going to click on these 6 dots right here, and I'm going to right click. And now I'm going to click on the save as templates. And here I'll just put in homepage and click on save. All right, so now we got this template, right? Now I'm going to close that, and let's go ahead and scroll down. Now let's say, for example, you want to add a new section, right? So here, click on plus, and then we can just basically make a new section just like before. However, here we have this folder icon. And what this folder icon does is that it gives you access to all the sections that you saved on your website. So I saved the home page, and if you ever want to reuse a section, I'll click on inserts and click on apply. And then we have that section again right here, just in case you want to reuse this on other parts of the websites. On our demo website, you might have noticed that we actually use this section here on some pages throughout the website. So that is a technique if you want to sort of copy your style and bring it to other pages of your websites, all right? But I'll go ahead and close this. Now, the next thing is I want to introduce you all to Elementor AI. Now, I'm not a big fan of AI, and let me explain what I personally think about AI before we jump into this. While AI website builders may seem like a quick and easy way to build a website, they come with a lot of hidden problems that can make your experience frustrating and expensive in the long run. Sure, they can generate a basic website for you in minutes, but they lack the customization and personalization of a traditional web designer. These AI generators may choose a design or layout that doesn't fit your brand, and trying to change it later can be a huge headache. I personally don't recommend AI builders. You're going to spend a lot more money trying to get something that you could have made in a few minutes. Okay, but I'll just give you an example of the Elementor AI. Okay, now the Elementor AI works by trying to create sections that you can use prompts in order to create them. Now, in my personal opinion, it's not really the best, but I'll just give you an example. So here I'll just select a team section, showcasing 4 box images, showcasing team members, and then I'll click on generate. And now it's going to generate us 3 different sections. So as you can see, you know, the first one, it created this one style where it has these 3 boxes. And the next one, it did use 4 boxes, so it's not bad. And the last one is basically using their pro elements, right? So it can be helpful in certain circumstances, especially if you're a beginner designer. So I'll go ahead and just use the middle one right here and then click on use layouts. And then the Elementor AI basically created that section, and all we got to do is just swap these images with our images, and that's how we can quickly build a meet the team section. But let's go ahead and close this. And now let's go ahead and give you one last example of the Flexbox and also the grid layout. Now, really quick, here I'll click on plus and click on Flexbox. Now, you don't have to follow me here if you don't want to. Now, I'm going to select the down arrow. And what I'm going to do here is go to add elements, and I'm going to drag in an image. Here, click on choose image. And I'm going to select this one here, right? And then next, I'll make 3 more. So now we have these 4 images that are stacked on top of each other. Now we can also use the Flexbox for the entire section as well. So here, click on these 6 dots, and on the left side, I'll put horizontal, right? So now we have these, images side by side. And what I can do here is here for gaps, I can add in a lot of gaps here, and I can force the images to sort of go into play. And you're gonna see that now it actually looks pretty nice, right? So now you'll see that all the images are aligned properly, and this looks great. So that is just another way on how you can use the Flexbox if you want to achieve certain looks. Now you can also make this reversed, or you can, make it vertical, but that's ugly. I don't want to do that. So yeah, that's just another example of how you can use the Flexbox. Next, let's go ahead and talk about the grid layouts. So right here, I'll click on plus, and now we're going to use the grid. So I'll click on grid, and we're going to select we're going to select this one here. So now we have these 4 boxes, and at first the grid can be very confusing, but over time it actually makes things a little simpler once you get the hang of it. Now at first glance, if you actually take an element right here and drag it into a grid, you can only use 1 element per box. So if I click on add element and I try to drag something, next to it, it's going to automatically go into the next box. So for example, I'll drop it here. And now you'll see it pushes that into the next box. And I can't really add in any elements inside of this. So 1 element is dedicated per box. And you might think to yourself, well, that kind of sucks, right? There are some circumstances where you can make really nice portfolios with this. So I'll go ahead and quickly add in 4 images. Okay, so I went ahead and I added 4 images in the grid. Now, if I click on these settings right here, we have some options where we can adjust these settings, right? Now, the first thing I'll do is I can actually throw in some gaps, right? So I'll put in something like 100 gaps right here, and then you'll see that we have this kind of like cool collage effect. Now, you can also increase the number of columns right here. So here we have 3 columns, we could put 4, 5, and you can keep adding as many columns as you want right here, right? So this can be used for maybe like portfolios or something like that, right? Now, you can also get creative, and let's say, for example, we have like, two columns right here. You can go ahead and add a background to it, right? So you can kind of create like a stylish collage right here for your projects, and maybe you can add in something else. But overall, like most people, I would say they can use it for projects or portfolios. Now, let me give you an alternative way on how to use this, and probably how most people would use the grid. So we're back here at the 4 columns, right? Now, instead of adding an element, we can actually add in containers instead, right? So when you add in a container, you can then go ahead and add in as many elements as you want to this container, right? So for example, I'll put in a heading text, and then a button. And then on the right side, we can just throw in an image, right? And then we can actually adjust this, right? So I'll click on edit container, and now we can actually we can make this a little bit more simplified, right? We can actually style this, and just like that, we made a brand new section, right? And if you want to, get more creative, you can go ahead and, customize this to your liking, or if you want to add in more space. But you can actually make sections quite quickly with the grid once you mess around with it. Here, I'll do the same thing. I'll just throw in an image, and then I'll throw in a container instead of an element, and then I'll just do the same thing. And then once we add in those elements, I'll just use the flexbox, and then I can just manipulate them to, add a section or whatever. And this is a very common web design practice, as you can tell. And it's actually surprising you can build it with the grid, but at first glance, you might be confused, but you can create some pretty cool stuff with the grid layouts. Okay, so now that we have a good understanding of Elementor, before we go to the home page, let's quickly talk about global fonts and colors. So you might have noticed that we have this blue color scheme by default, but we can change that. Here at the top, you'll see site settings. Let's click on site settings. And then at the top, we have global colors and global fonts. So I'll click on global colors. And let's say, for example, you want to change the main color scheme of your, of your heading text and also buttons. I'll click on the button, and then you can change this to something like black. And then you're going to see all of the heading text and the buttons will now change to black. So you can adjust these color palettes right here. And if you want to add in more, I'll click on add a color. Maybe you want like your icons a different color. So I'll put icons, and I'll just put in like a random color right here. Okay. And then I'll go ahead and save these changes. Now you'll understand more about this as I show you, but let's go ahead and go back here, and now let's talk about global fonts. So I'll click on global fonts, and just like we did before for the main heading text, you can change this to like some other fonts. So for example, you can change this to like, DM mono, and then all of the heading text that are H1 will change to this specific font by default. So that's always a quick way instead of actually manually changing every single font and color on your websites. So let's go ahead now and close the site settings. And now you'll see that our buttons have now changed. Now, some buttons may not change, and that's just because it's like the first time kind of thing. All you got to do is click on the button, go to the color, and this time we'll click on that globe. And now you'll see that we have the button. And then also, remember that one we made earlier for the icons? We can also use that color, right? So now you can select colors right there from your color palette. So now that we have some experience, now let's go back to the home page and design it. So if you guys want, you can publish this page and save it if you want. But let's go back to our home page now, and I'll go ahead and refresh this page. And right away, you'll see the buttons have also changed. Right, so we have the black scheme instead of that blue scheme, right? Scrolling down, we now have more of that black style, and I think that looks actually a lot sharper. So now let's go ahead and design this page a little bit and retouch it with the knowledge that we know about Elementor. So here at the top, let's click on Edit with Elementor. Okay, so if you want to change this text, all you got to do is put something like, you know, welcome to my new business, right? And then again, you can modify all of this right here as well. Now on the right side, you'll notice that we have this image and we did mask it. So remember earlier we talked about masking. So over here under advanced, if we scroll over here to mask, now you'll understand why we masked it, right? So now it makes a little bit more sense. So I'll click on the add elements. And this section, for example, if I click on the container, you'll also see that the flexbox is now being used. So if I click on vertical, you'll see these go down. But if we change the direction to horizontal, now you understand about how this got there, right? Because if I were to show you this for the very first time, I probably would have scared you all and you probably would have left the video. So I think now you guys are pros with WordPress and Elementor. Now, if you want to edit anything or add an element, all you got to do is click on add elements. And now you can just like drag it in between elements, right? Really simple, right? And of course, if you want to change the color of this button under style, under the color section, don't forget, we now have that new color that we introduced. So you can now like start using that throughout the website if you want to go that route, right? Now here, we actually use the flexbox as well. So for the directional tab, you'll see it's horizontal. And if we change it to vertical, it'll look something like that. But this is what it looks like more when it's horizontal. Now you can also add in sections in between these sections, just like we talked about before, right? So you can add a section here, maybe a grid section if you want to get crazy, right? And this section is using the flexbox again, right? Now, the reason why we use flexbox mostly is because it's very responsive on phones and tablets. And we'll talk more about mobile optimization in like a few minutes. Scrolling down, you'll see that if you want to add anything in these sections, all you got to do is just drag and drop it, you know, duplicate it, drag it here. And as you can tell, now that we have a good understanding of Elementor, this is actually a lot simpler. Now for the frequently asked questions, if you want to change this to something else, just click on the text. Here I'll open up this text and this will be like, was this a good tutorial? And I'll click on this little plus to open it. And this is going to say, here, we're going to put a hell yes, this was a good tutorial. Make sure to like it and comment. And my favorite beer is Modelo. All right, good. All right, so yeah, make sure to like and comment, you know, so yeah. And you can always add in more. So for example, I'll click on the element here. And if you want to add in more, I'll duplicate this and also duplicate this as well, right? And then you can add in more as you want. Here as well, you can just go ahead and just add in your content. You can change the text, or you can just throw in another button if you want to get crazy, right? So I think at this point, you have a good understanding of Elementor. As you can tell, Elementor and WordPress is really simple to work with, and this is why Elementor is so popular. So pat yourself on the back. Congratulations, you successfully built a WordPress website. Okay, so mobile optimization is very important. Just keep in mind that there are more mobile users than desktop users today in 2025. So you really want to make sure that you optimize all parts of your website for all devices. So in this part of the video, we're going to fully optimize our website for tablets and also the mobile device. With that said, let's go ahead and jump back to the video. Let's talk about mobile optimization. So mobile optimization means making sure your websites look good on mobile devices and also tablets. When a website is mobile optimized, it adjusts to fit the smaller screen size of phones and tablets, and it makes it easier for users to navigate your websites. Always make sure your website is fully optimized for all devices to ensure that your users have a good experience. Now, the very last important feature that we're going to talk about is mobile optimization. Now, when you're editing your website with Elementor, here at the top, you'll see that we have these different little, tablet and phone icons. If I click on tablet portrait, this is what our website looks like on a tablet device. So if we scroll down, we can kind of see if we want to change anything, right? Now, when we design our kits, we fully optimize them for all devices, except right here. We can fix this, all right? We got something we can work with here. So let's say, for example, you want to change this specific section for tablets. Here, I'll click on the pencil, and then I'll go to style, okay? Now, when I'm in the editing mode, you're going to see this tablet portrait, right? So if I click on center, I'm only changing this for the tablet device. Now, there is one common mistake some beginners make. Now, you cannot edit the content specifically for the tablets. So the contents will always remain the same on the websites. All right. So don't think that you can change this per device, right? The content's going to stay the same, dude. All right. So yeah, so you can scroll down here, and also this button, if you want to change the style right here and put it in the center, you'll see right here, position, center, right? Same thing here. Center, right? Obviously, we should put something like, go to Google reviews, or like, for the content, we should probably put like see reviews, and then maybe like, a Google review page or something, I don't know, right? But yeah, so if you do create buttons, make sure that you do link them. But I do want to change this color. I want to make this a little creative. That looks sharp. I do like that. Now here's a quick trick. I'm going to right click, copy, and on this button, I'm going to paste the style. Right click, paste the style. So copy and paste essentially takes all the styling from one button and it puts it on to another, right? Got that? Cool. All right. Scroll down, and all in all, everything else looks great. Here, paste style. Yeah, look at that. Let's change all the buttons to teal. How about that, right? We can just like do this, No, that doesn't look good. Let's undo that. All right, here. We're going to go to history, and we're going to undo that. All right, cool. Okay, so now let's do the same thing for mobile. Now, mobile, there are some strategies here, right? Now, for example, we'll scroll down, and this section right here, it's not really working for me. It's kind of cutting into the text, and it's just too big, and it's just not necessary. So we can actually hide specific elements and sections for specific devices. So here I'll click on this container, and I want to hide all the elements in this container. So I'll click on the container, go to advanced, scroll down, and then I'll click on responsive. Here we have the option to hide on mobile portraits. So I'll click on hide, and voila, it's gone. So it is grayed out. Now, again, we didn't delete it. We just hid it for mobile devices. Got that? All right. We're going to go ahead and scroll down. All right. I think this button, we can just put that in the center, right? Yeah, center. Okay. Keep scrolling down. Is there anything else that we should change here? I think there might be, right? I'm pretty sure there is. All right, tell you what. Let's just say for tutorial's sake, you want to maybe get rid of this image, right? You can click on an element, and instead of actually, hiding the entire row, you can just hide elements on the actual website. So I'll click on advanced, scroll to the bottom, responsive, and I'll click on hide on mobile portraits. So you can go and actually hide specific elements for specific devices. This is a very common web design practice because sometimes you just don't need elements on your, on your mobile device than you would on your desktop. Okay, so once you're done adjusting your website, at the top right, you'll click on publish. Okay, and now let's go ahead and view the page. Now, the very next thing I want to talk about is how to create pages and also how to add them to the menu, right? So we did make that demo page earlier, right? But notice how it's not on the menu. So let me show you how to create pages. So let's go back to our dashboard here. And under pages, let's click on all pages. These are all the pages on our website, right? Now, if you want to make a new page, here at the top, I'll click on add new page. And then I'll put our team. Our team. I'll click on publish and publish. Once it's published, I'll then click on edit with Elementor. Now, just for tutorial's sake, I'm just going to quickly add a section. Okay, so I went ahead and I quickly made a section using the AI, right? Now I want to publish this page. So after you design your page, you can then publish it. So here at the top, I'll click on publish. Now we need to add this to the menu, right? So now that we created this page, let's go over here to our dashboard. So I'll click on exit to WordPress. Here, I'll click on the WordPress logo. Now under appearance, you're going to see menus. Here, I'll click on menus. Now, when you import these Solus templates, we actually create menus for you. So we have a footer menu and we also have the primary menu. So select the primary menu and then click on select. Now here you can see that we have our menu, right? And we actually have like a drop-down menu right here. So for example, we have like the about, the careers, testimonials as a drop-down. So if you want to create a drop-down, all you got to do is just drag the page at a tilted angle. And now this is actually a three-way drop-down menu. Now over here under pages, I'll click on view all. And let's say, for example, you want to use the, you want to add the page that you just created. So here's the our team. I'll click on add to menu and I'll drag this way up here. Now, once we're done, I'll click on save menu. And now let's go ahead and take a look at the website. All right, so now we have the our team. And if I click on it, we now have that beautiful page that I created in a matter of seconds. So that is how you can also create pages and add them to the menu. All right, party people, in this part of the video, I want to show you all how to embed a contact form onto your website so users can send emails directly to your inbox from your websites. Now we're going to do this with a free plugin. So to do this, let's go back to our dashboard and let's scroll down to plugins and let's click on add new plugin. Now under search plugins, we're going to type in contact form. Now there's various contact forms you can choose, but I want to use WP Forms. So this plugin right here, WP Forms, you'll go ahead and click on install now. Then you'll click on activate. All right, now once you install that plugin, on the left side, you'll see WP Forms. Go ahead and click on all forms. And then we're going to create our first form. So right here, I'll click on create your form. All right, I'll click on let's go. Now, WP Forms is a lot more than just a simple contact form. You can embed payment methods, you can offer booking service, you can accept credit cards. In fact, I have a whole video that goes over all the things you can do with this plugin. It's about an hour long. If you want to watch that, I'll leave that in the video description. But for most of us, we're just going to use this for a simple contact form. Now, in the template section, you'll see simple contact form. So under this template, go ahead and click on use template. So this is the WP Forms contact form builder. And let's say, for example, you want users to insert their phone number onto this contact form. I'll take a single line text. I'll drop it below the email. And then for the title, I'll just put something like phone number. And I'll make this required, right? So you can add as many fields as you want to your contact form and you can design it and customize any which way you want. But I don't want to get too deep into this plugin. So for now, let's just click on save. Okay, so now that we saved that contact form, there's one more option we need to do. Over here on the left side, I'll click on settings, and then under notifications, you'll see this send to email address. You want to put your specific email here. So for example, I'll go ahead and put in my email address. Now, once we do that, now we can actually apply this contact form on the websites. So up here, I'll click on the X, then I'll go up here and I'll click on visit sites. Next, I'll go to the contact page. And then I'll turn on the page builder. So up here, I'll click on edit with Elementor. All right, so once we turn on the page builder, I'll scroll down and I want to delete this widget right here. So I'll right click and I'll delete it. Now on the left side, if you type in WP Forms, there's actually an integration for Elementor. So I'm going to take this form and I'll drop it right in here. And then I'll select the form. So right here, we have the simple contact form. Now I need to adjust this. So over here under the flex box, I do want to take off the direction and also the space between. So I want it to look more like that so it's not so scrunched. And if you want to make this bigger, you can actually increase the width right here if you want to make this contact form larger. Okay. So once you embed the contact form, really quick, let's go ahead and scroll down. Now I did mention that you can actually embed your address over here. So I'll click on the pencil and let's say, for example, you want to enter a location. I'll go ahead and put in a location here. Okay, so I put in my address. Now what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna zoom in, right? Because it's too far away. So you can actually zoom in and show people exactly where you are. So I'll do 15 I think maybe like, I think 15 is good. So this is actually a Mexican restaurant, right? So if you have like a restaurant or a business and you want to showcase where you are, right here we can zoom in and this will show exactly where you are, right? Pretty cool. So now that we adjusted the map and also the contact form, let's go ahead now and click on publish. All right, now at the top right, let's click on view page. All right, now once we inserted that form, I'll go ahead and scroll down and now we'll fill this out. So I'll put in Daryl Wilson, and then we'll put in like, you know, an email here. And then here's a phone number, and then I'll put something like howdy dude, and then I'll click on submit. All right, so now I'll go ahead and check my email inbox, and here we go, Daryl's tutorial. And here is the actual email that was sent from the website. Now, many users that are gonna use this contact form, you're gonna find that many of your emails will end up in spam, or maybe they're not delivered at all. Now, there is a very quick fix to this. All you need to do is install a free plugin that'll route your SMTP. I have this video right here. It'll actually show you just in case emails won't be sending. And that's a very common problem with WordPress. So if you don't get the email, don't worry about it. Just watch this video and it'll show you how to send emails and make sure they're routed perfectly to your email address. Also, if you do want to actually create business emails like, you know, your website at your domain, you can watch this video here. Now, since you're using Hostinger, you get unlimited free business emails with hosting. So if you want to actually, you know, go through the process here and install a business domain where you can actually send it from your Gmail account, I will also leave this video as well in the video description where you can create a business email for your new WordPress websites. So that is how you can embed a contact form and also how to adjust the maps on your website. All right, party people, in this part of the video, we'll be talking about the WordPress theme customizer. Now, every WordPress theme for WordPress has a theme customizer, which allows you to control various parts of the website, like the header, the footer, and also the archive page. Now, every WordPress theme also has their own set of features and options. So in this part of the video, we'll be exploring the Solus theme options and showing you how to design the header and the footer of your WordPress websites. Y'all ready? Let's go. Now, the very last thing that we're going to talk about before we're done with this video is the theme customizer. Now, every WordPress theme has a theme customizer and you can access it right here at the top. So here at the top, let's click on customize. Now, in today's world of WordPress, the theme customizer really controls mainly the header and the footer, and it also assigns the homepage. Everything else is really optional. So for example, here click on header builder, and now we have this header builder where we can actually build our menu from scratch. So here at the top, you'll see we have this menu, right? And with Solus, we've actually created preset styles where you can just like click on one really quick, you know, and then just basically like, you know, have a really quick, really quick header, right? You can also click on elements and then you can drag in more elements if you want. So I'll take an account, and then if I drop it right here, you will then see we have 3 rows. So we have 1, 2, and here we have a third one we can add, right? So I'll go to back. And if I put in something on the third row, we now have 3 rows, right? If you want to get rid of a row, you can just take this, put it there. Now we have 2 rows, right? And yeah, so I think at this point, you understand how to use this. Now, if you ever want to change the color, here under the gear icon, you can change the background color, right? So for example, if you want to change this to like a black or something, you can do that. Right? Okay. Now for every element that you drag in, if you click on the element, there are options. So here under the buy now, you can change this to something like, you know, get deal or something. And then for the URL, you'll just obviously paste the URL of wherever you want your audience to go, right? And you can make this filled, right? Or you can make it outline. And then of course we have all these different styling options where you can change the font color, the hover, the size, and a lot more, right? So on your own free time, feel free to actually check out the presets and, you know, check out the elements, and it just takes like maybe like a few minutes. And at that point, you'll get the hang of the header builder and no problem. Now let's talk about the footer builder. So here I'll click on back and then click on footer builder. So this is the footer builder. Now the footer builder might be a little bit more complicated because we actually use widgets from WordPress. So I'll click on show builder. Now, just to get an understanding of how this works, I'm going to delete the footer 1, okay? And I'll also delete footer 2, okay? Now, over here under elements, what I want to do here is I'm going to take footer 1 and I'm going to drag it right here. Now, A footer 1 widget is basically a widget that is native to WordPress. So these are actually widgets that actually come from WordPress. So for example, I'll go ahead and delete this navigational menu and just explain how it appears. So for example, here I'll click on Add a Widgets, and then I'll type in Menu, right? Now I'll click on Navigational Menu. And remember earlier how we created 2 footer menus? So here we have footer 1 and footer 2. Now these are just pages on our websites. So this will be like menu. And then you'll see we have menu, and then we have those pages. So this is the other footer, I'm sorry, the other menu. And then we also have some pages that link to various parts of the website. Now, if you want to get rid of a widget, I'll click on this and then I'll click on remove, right? Now, let's say, for example, you want to add in another section right here, right? So let's go ahead and go back, footer builder. So now let's go ahead and add in another footer widget right here, right? So I'm going to take footer 2 and drag it right here. Now notice here how pages propagates. And if I scroll back right here and I click on footer 2, you'll see that the pages element is right here. But if you want to get rid of this, you can just delete it and add in any widget you want. So for example, let's say you want like an image right there, right? Or something, maybe a banner. I'll put an image, and then I'll put add image. So yeah, that's basically how you can add in widgets on the footer. So you can also add in more widgets on top of each other. So if you want to add a widget below this, you'll just click on add a widgets, and then you can keep adding in more and more widgets on top of each element. Now, the very last thing about the theme customer that is pretty important is assigning the home page. So under core options, if we scroll down, we have homepage settings. Now, if you want to select your homepage to be your homepage, this is where you're going to do it. For example, if you want the About Us page to be your main homepage, you'll select the About. And now this page is now considered your new homepage. So if they go to your domain, this will be the first page that they're brought to. So you always want to make sure that this actually is your homepage, just so that users don't land on like a broken page, right? Got it? Okay. So here at the top, I'll click on Publish. And then we can close the theme customizer. And we're back to our beautiful websites. Now, if you do want to import any of our other demos, you can actually go back to Solace and you can re-import any of the demos. So you'll go to Solace and go to Starter Templates, and then we're brought back to square one. So if you want to try out any of our templates, feel free to go ahead and test them out. These are some top of the line templates with beautiful designs. So here I'll click on Web Nova. So here we have a preview of this template. Now, if you want to actually delete your previous website, you'll click on Delete Previous Imported Websites. If you don't want to delete it, you can just have that unchecked, right? But I'll go ahead and click on Continue. And now it's just going to re-import this demo, and it's going to basically replace our old demo. Now the old pages on your other website, they'll just be placed in the backend under Pages. However, we're going to create a new menu, so all the pages for this specific kit will replace those previous pages. All right, so the import is now done. Let's take a look at our new websites. Fingers crossed. Beautiful, look at that. So now we have our new templates. And you'll see that this replaced our old pages, right? So if I click on like the contacts, it'll actually be our new templates, right? So you can just keep doing that if you want to test out other various demos and just, have a whole new website in a matter of seconds. So I really do hope that you enjoy our new WordPress theme, and I hope this tutorial was very helpful. Make sure to like this video. Congratulations on your new WordPress websites, and I will see all you party people later. All right, party people, thank you all so much for watching this WordPress tutorial. I hope this video really helped you out and taught you all the aspects of WordPress. As you can tell, making websites today is not that tough. And now that you know how to use WordPress, you probably don't have to hire a web designer and pay them like $5 grand. You can just easily build it yourself, right? So I really do hope that this video brought a lot of value for my viewers. If you have any questions for me about WordPress or page builders or plugins, let me know in the comments below, and I'll do my best to get to everyone's comments. With that said, my name is Daryl Wilson, and I will see all of you party people in the next video. Take care.